Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of ZB's Horsepower Talk. As always, I am ZB Zach Brown, and joined with me, back from surviving Hurricane Milton, my dad, former 410 sprint car crew chief and mechanic, Jeff Brown. Dad, welcome back. Glad you made it through the hurricanes. And now let's talk about some racing. And wrapping up the round of 12 for NASCAR at the Roval for the NASCAR Cup Series. 8 people move on. And Xfinity Series, probably another better race in the Cup Series. World of Outlaws got another race against the PA Posse. And we're going to preview a bunch of stuff. NHRA has finished up at Texas. They are nearing their end of their countdown, and the championship favorites are coming to light. So a lot to talk about, and we'll give you some updated power rankings for you guys. So let's dive right into NASCAR at the Roval. Boring race for the Cup Series. I mean, a boring race we like.
The Larson fan.
Yeah, boring race we like. I mean, we're obviously Larson fans, so we enjoy that one. That's the type of butt kicking you want to see for us. But there was a lot of controversy is coming out of that race. So it looked like all 4 Hendricks moved on to the round of 8 and made it past the round of 12, and very good chance that at least 2 or 3 Hendricks could make it to the Final Four just based on numbers. Well, post-race inspection for Alex Bowman's car found it too light, and that is something you do not see in NASCAR that often anymore, especially with these cars. You can't really change a whole lot to make it significantly lighter than it was. So they never really released exactly why it was so light. Hendrick Motorsports is not going to appeal this. They are basically saying, yeah, we screwed up. There's nothing really to appeal. It'd be just a waste of everybody's time. So Joey Logano now makes the round of 8. Watch out for that. Now you give Joey a chance to make it to the Final Four. That's one now to look out for.
Yeah. And as far as being light, there's some video, so we don't know what really was, but Bowman was involved in some sort of an altercation going over one of the turtles, they call them, and you could see something coming out of the car. Now, they do try to build everything as light as they can, and they will put ballast in the frame rails where they want it to try to get better handling. Did the weight come out? Most likely, because they're going to weigh them before they go out. So there's no way the car got lighter without losing any weight. Now, I don't know what the NASCAR rule book is, but even if you say you were in some kind of incident and lost your weight, you're still going to be disqualified, because otherwise everybody's going to make their weight so it falls out during the race.
Yeah.
So that's probably why Hendricks didn't appeal it. There's nothing, it's one of those things that if it fell out from the accident, that's just unfortunately it was not secured enough.
That's part of it. It sucks. Maybe add a little bit of fuel to the fire for Alex Bowman then for this upcoming round. I think it was going to be a good round. I think it's going to be a good round for all of Hendrick Motorsports and the Toyotas. You've got 2 mile-and-a-half tracks, traditional mile-and-a-half tracks, and so you see Hendrick versus Toyota likely, like you've been seeing, and then you've got Martinsville, and Hendrick is very good at Martinsville all the time, especially from the spring, and so you could very well seen good potential that all 4 Hendricks could make the championship 4. Not now, obviously, but there was a shot. Well, now let's talk about the Xfinity race. That was some excitement, some drama, really big drama at the end for the race. It looked like Parker Kligerman had it. I even texted you. I said, good for Parker. I was listening to it on the radio, and I was pulling into work when all this was happening, so I had to I turned it off. I thought Parker won. Next thing I know, I pulled up NASCAR's Facebook. It says, oh, Sam Mayer gets the win. I'm like, what? I did not even realize that the caution came out literally inches before Parker Kligerman took the took the white flag. So that sucks for him. That was going to be his first ever win. This is last year. He would have had a shot at the championship if he moved on. It just sucks that it happened to him. He's a really humble guy, really good guy, and I like him on NBC on the Cup Series as well. So that's it's a shame.
Yeah, that was kind of a bullshit call. NASCAR held that caution almost an entire lap. If you're going to do it that, I figured they're just going to hold it till he gets the white flag.
Nope.
I don't know the reason. The caution, in all reality, the caution should have came out way before it did. But if you're going to hold it to the white flag, make sure the guys across the white flag. Did NASCAR screw up? Did they do it on purpose? I don't know. But, at some point that caution should have came out much sooner, which probably would not have changed the results any. But if you're going to hold it that long, give it 10 more feet, and it
Yeah.
would have been, yeah. So yeah, he was screwed. That was kind of a bullshit call.
Yeah, it sucked because I mean he had it in the bag to get 4-second lead or something over second place when he was just driving away with it, and good for him. And it's just one of those things, nothing really you can control. So a lot of drama coming out of Charlotte from the Roval. I don't really think there was, besides the very last, it was the turn going into the actual oval part on the traditional turns 1 and 2, where you could just dive it in and try to make it stick. That added a little bit of excitement to the Roval.
Yeah, that gave it a nice passing zone there.
Yeah, especially when Larson balls it in and pretty much took, I think it was third place at the time from Logano. That was that was pretty risky and made it stick sort of, and kind of bumped the Logano out of the way. But it was actually, that was the best part of it. Made it similar to
watching
like
Tyler Reddick come up through.
Yeah.
Was quite. He basically ran over Denny Hamlin, bent the rear toe link. They somehow fixed that, which I don't know how in the world they ever got it remotely close.
Yeah.
And he was running the crap out of that thing and got up. I thought, because I had him, I was like, well, it was just about the end of stage 2. I'm like, all right, you're going in my garage. Well, that was the wrong pick.
Well, I had Chris Buescher, and he was all in my garage or in my regular lineup, and he was failing. My whole team was failing. We'll see fantasy here in a minute because I'm just tired of screwing up on it. I'm just going to go big names on this one, so that gives you a little foreshadowing on that. But let's talk about. Let's go into our power rankings. Let's get it started for our power rankings, and then we'll get into our NASCAR fantasy, give our picks for Las Vegas, and move on to just talk briefly on NHRA, but really getting into World of Outlaw action coming this week, and we'll also touch on a little bit from the High Limit finale from last week as well. So, power rankings heading into Las Vegas. Last week, my power rankings, I had Larson at the top. I've got Larson at the top once again. I've moved Christopher Bell up to number 2. He's starting to get hot right now when he needs to. You might see a rematch of the Final Four from last year, more or less. So kind of look for that. I've got Denny Hamlin up to number 3. I've got William Byron up to number 4. And I've got Ryan Blaney at number 5.
We're close. So I did, last week I had Hamlin at number 1, so I moved Larson up to number 1. Bell went from number 5 to number 2. Hamlin dropped to number 3. Blaney dropped 1 from 3 to 4. And Chase Elliott dropped 1 from 4 to 5.
Yeah, you can intermix between Byron and Chase at this point.
Yeah, it's a tough pick between those guys, how you want to do it. Chase and William Byron are running very close to the same speed most of the time.
Well, for everybody that's been following along with fantasy, I've won the regular season championship and have been sucking in the playoffs. But let's get into our NASCAR fantasy this week. I will be pulling up fantasy on the screen if I can find it. Here we go. Here's my NASCAR fantasy lineup going into Las Vegas, and I'll tell you when you can talk about yours. But here we go. My starters this week. I have Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, William Byron, Joey Logano, and in my garage I've got Chase Elliott. I said screw it, all playoff drivers.
What are you going to do? Sometimes you got to do it.
I mean, I've only got 2 uses out of Larson and Hamlin left, but this is one of their better tracks, and I probably rinse and repeat at Homestead at this point. Kyle Larson versus Christopher Bell. I do have Kyle Larson, so I'm jinxing him this week. Denny Hamlin versus William Byron. I have Denny Hamlin. This is a good round for Denny. Tyler Reddick versus Ryan Blaney. They always want to tell you to avoid Ryan Blaney, but I'm going Ryan Blaney on this one. Prove these doubters wrong. He's been running really well. And Chase Elliott versus Joey Logano. I do have Chase Elliott. I think Hendricks will be pretty quick at Las Vegas. And the hot picks this week for DraftKings, the favorite to win this week is Kyle Larson. Shocking. Wow, did not expect that. If Kyle Larson wins, it'll probably be an ass kicking like it usually is. That seems to happen when he wins.
He doesn't win a close one.
No.
He usually screws up if it's a close one.
Well, besides Kansas when he won the closest in NASCAR history.
Yeah.
Martin Truex Jr. is a hot pick at plus 1,400.
That's surprising.
Well, it's a Toyota, but he hasn't been running well lately. He just really hasn't overall. It says avoid Chase Elliott. Again, I'm not buying it. Their avoids are really weird when they do it. Maybe that's because they don't want to lose money. I don't know.
Right.
It says avoid Chris Buescher. I'm not buying it again. That's plus 3,500, but that's I don't think he's going to be terrible. I think he'll be a top 15 car at the very least. He'll be decent. And it says a sleeper is Ross Chastain. I could see that. I mean, it's a 1.5-mile track, and Ross runs pretty well at those type of tracks. So I'm pulling up yours right now. Go ahead and talk about yours.
All right. So we are going to be different this week, so maybe we can actually gain some points on each other or whatever. So I have Joey Logano, Kyle Busch. Hard to go against him at his home track.
Mm-hmm.
I kept Ty Gibbs in. He killed me last week, so he's not.
Well, he had transmission issues. It wasn't really his fault.
Yeah, so I left. Can't go wrong against Larson. I do have William Byron and in my garage, I got a tough backup there at Tyler Reddick. So that's
something happens. Yep.
So in my matchups, I have Christopher Bell over Kyle Larson. I have William Byron over Denny Hamlin, Blaney over Reddick, and Logano over Chase Elliott.
All right. Well, let's. I'm going to pull up the standings right now for both the Xfinity and the Cup Series. So heading into Las Vegas, here are the playoff standings for the round of 8 to start off at Las Vegas. In the Xfinity Series, Justin Allgaier, Cole Custer, Austin Hill, Chandler Smith are the 4 above the cut line right now. The 4 below it are Sam Mayer, Jesse Love, AJ Allmendinger, Sammy Smith. Now, this can happen anyway. I know I told you to pick your championship 4 for the Cup Series. If you want to go ahead and pick your championship 4 for Xfinity, that'd be.
I didn't. I'd have to see that lineup again.
Yeah. Well, I think I think 2 that are definitely going to make it into the Final 4 are Justin Allgaier and Cole Custer. I think they'll probably get a win here in the round of 8. These are good tracks for them.
Okay.
And don't count out. Honestly, the top 4, I think I would be safe of betting on them going all to the Final 4 with Justin, Cole Custer, Austin Hill, Chandler Smith. These are all good tracks for them. It's a really, really good round for them.
Martinsville may be do they run Martinsville?
They do. That could be where you see maybe Sammy Smith or Sam Mayer battle it out.
That's where I think Austin Hill's probably going to struggle.
Yeah, if
he doesn't get a win, maybe he's out. Maybe Sam Mayer sneaks it in.
Yeah, that's a tough one to pick. I don't disagree with your top 4 right now, probably being the 4 favorites. And then you throw Martinsville,
I'm going to
happen.
say one of them does not make it out in there.
Probably
unless probably Sam Mayer gets in over Austin Hill.
All right, well let's now the Cup Series. Now, did you at least give your 4 in?
I do have a 4 for that one.
All right. Well,
that one was tough too.
Here's the round of 8 right now. Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, William Byron are all technically in right now. Kyle Larson's got a really big advantage of plus 33 over the bubble. Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Joey Logano are under the bubble now, below the bubble. So go ahead, give me your 4 who are in.
So the 2 I figured the easiest were picked. Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, have them in.
Yep.
The next one's where it got a little tough. It's like, who do you leave out? I have William Byron in. I have Denny Hamlin in. So that means last year's point champion Ryan Blaney does not advance.
I am not. I have Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell. I think I'd be shocked if they don't make it in. And I'd also be shocked if I think Denny Hamlin either wins this weekend or next weekend.
He could easily win Martinsville.
He could. Yeah. I mean, it's a really good round for him. Now,
for sure.
Who's that leave me with? I really wanted to say Joey. You just gave him a chance to potentially get another title. I'm
Sometimes you
going
gotta
to
keep
least.
him when
I'm
he's
going to put
down.
last year's champion in. He's really under
Okay.
the radar. He's only 4 under the bubble. These are good tracks for him. I don't think he'll get a win. I think he'll have good consistent races. I think he'll get in on points. I think he'll be the last one in. But then it's going to be tough to figure out who comes out of Phoenix. So that's my 4. I got Larson, Bell, Hamlin, Blaney for my 4.
Okay.
And we're back on the screen now. All right. Viva Las Vegas. We're in Vegas this weekend. Very good 1.5-mile track. This always puts on really good races. It's one of the traditional 1.5-mile tracks, if you will. These cars perform great at these type of tracks, and
Yep.
and we're one of those shows that if it sucks, we're going to tell you it sucks. We don't get paid by NASCAR or anybody. We don't care.
Right.
If it sucks, it sucks. It is what it is. I think that'll be a good race this weekend in Vegas. You want to get that first win, then you have 2 weeks to prepare for the Phoenix race. Does it always play out like that, and then you end up having that advantage? No, because anything can happen. You can have a flat tire, you can blow an engine. You don't know what could happen. But any quick notes you want to give anybody before we give our picks for Las Vegas?
Well, like you were saying, this first round, everybody's going to be gung ho. You know, the last 2 races of the last round, some of the guys were probably point racing a little bit, knowing they were, maybe not pushing the issue. Now I think you're going to, and like you said, you get a win, that's it. Then you can concentrate on Phoenix and not even worry about the next 2. So I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be good, hard, close racing. I think you're going to see probably a bunch of lead changes. The track's kind of wore out at Vegas, which makes the racing much better. So, setup and handling are going to be a key. And that's one of those things, if Cliff Daniels hits that thing just right, look out, Larson might be gone on this one again.
And that could be one where Larson beats himself, too. You got to look at that. He does
That
that
could
quite
very
often.
well happen to come down to a late caution and he'll
Come
suck
to
on a restart.
pit road penalties or pit crews messing up on tires and loose lug nut and tires completely falling off. That could be big too. So watch out for that. All right, Xfinity's here, Cup's here. Give your Xfinity pick for this week.
So he's 4th in points right now, so I think he advances in. I have Chandler Smith.
All right. I've got the guy 2nd in points right now. I think he locks in a chance to defend his title. Cole Custer for Xfinity. All right, Cup Series. Who do you have?
So he's in my final 4, so he gets locked in. I got Christopher Bell. Mom's pick, she picks local Las Vegas guy, Kyle Busch.
Well,
He's only got a handful of races left to get a win this year, so he's been fast.
I've got the guy that I have in my final 4. He's under the cut line right now. I think this is a great round for him, probably the best possible round he could have. I have Denny Hamlin locking into Phoenix. I don't want to jinx anything. That's why you're not going to see me. And I think he locks in. And I think if Larson doesn't get a win this round, I'd be shocked. But I think he can make it on points at the very, very least.
Yeah, he's already 33 ahead. He runs top 5 in this next race, and he's all probably but locked in.
Yeah, well,
you got to get 2 solid finishes. He's in.
2 top 10 finishes for sure is going to get you in. Stage points are huge, too, if you get stage points.
Yeah.
Let's touch on NHRA real quick. The championship is getting a little bit crazy now in NHRA. Justin Ashley gets a win in Top Fuel. That now he's the points leader, and that is I didn't expect that right now. Shocker, Austin Prock still in the points lead with Funny Car. I think the biggest surprise this weekend was Jake Coughlin getting a win in Pro Stock.
Yeah, he's good for about 1 or 2 wins a year. That's an elite car. They're all basically the same cars anymore. Pro Stock, I used to really like Pro Stock. Now it's all just the same. We have elite versus KB. I mean, that's Elite's got 10 cars in it now. Even the Ford of the Quadras are all Elite Motorsports. So it's kind of I don't like. Bring back the hood scoops. I'm old school. I want to see the big hood scoops on those things. But Matt Hagan winning Funny Car, He's probably the only one that can run with Austin Prock right now.
I think Austin Brock's too far ahead for anybody to touch
I,
him at this
I
point.
agree,
I
but I
don't
think
think.
he's the only one that's fast enough
And
to
Gage
even.
Herrera extends it, and Gage Herrera extends his lead in motorcycles. Matt Smith had a run against him, strong run against him for the championship closing in. I don't think it's going to happen though. I don't foresee Gage struggling too often. But how about Gianna? She's making several semifinal appearances now.
Yeah.
She had to go against Gage, so the last couple she had to go against Gage, and then she had to go against Matt Smith. So I'm like, well, sorry.
Well, yeah, you're gonna have to go through one of them to get to a final. So
Yeah, but I mean, very impressive stuff. She's finishing the year strong. She struggled earlier on in the year, but the team has really come together, come on strong towards the end. But yeah, now Antron loses the points lead because he got eliminated right away in the first round. So now Justin Ashley has a points lead in Top Fuel. So watch out for that. They are off this week, and they are back in another week or two. I've got to look at the schedule again, and we'll definitely discuss it when that comes by. And obviously we are live. If anybody wants to join in the chat, let us know who your Final Four for NASCAR is after we just talked about it. We're going to get into sprint car action right now. Touch on high limit finale. Obviously, Brad Sweet wins the championship. That's not a shocker. He had like a 300-point advantage. But the impressive thing is the 69K crew picking up Darren Pittman and heading to Texas, and they had back-to-back runner-up finishes, shots to win on both of them. It was kind of heartbreaking when they come that close. It was like, dang, they had a really good shot. Didn't get through lap traffic as good as other drivers did. It happens.
So sometimes the leader's at a disadvantage. I talk about every week. It seems like lap traffic is key. And Pittman's car was great on the bottom. I don't know if he could have moved up and tried to get around one of those. Those lap cars were just running in his groove.
Yeah.
And a couple times he tried getting it in a little too hard and then got it sort of pitched sideways, and that was all she wrote.
Yep.
Sweet got him the first night, and then Brent Marks gets him. So,
that one hurts too because
two Pennsylvania cars winning the one and two in the finale for high limits. Pretty awesome to see.
Yeah.
That was 50,000 to win.
Yeah, and short second was probably like 20 something at least. So.
It could have been. They pay pretty well.
It was. Let's just say it was a successful trip for them to make their way out there. They've had probably one of their best years outside of PA, traveling wise.
Yeah.
And we were talking about it before we went live. I expect them to go to Charlotte. Why not go to the World Finals? It's
Right.
You have 4 days and you have 4 chances to get 3. I think there's only one feature event. So there's including this weekend for Outlaws, there's 3 events coming up. And that transitions nicely into World of Outlaws. That's how I do things. World of Outlaws just finished up at Lincoln, so they are done with PA for the year. And I'm sorry, Sheldon. I am so sorry that I jinxed you. I even called it. I already told you I jinxed you, and you're probably thinking in the back of your mind that I definitely jinxed you. And Donnie Schatz wins at Lincoln. He just kind of came out of nowhere and won.
Right
Sheldon
around the
had
bottom.
that.
He
Sheldon
looked
had
good.
it won. He was the fastest car, and he flipped because of me.
Banged her off the wall a little too hard, Sheldon.
Yeah, that was.
First thing, so my wife, your mom's big Sheldon fan. So first thing she said, like, "Did you pick Sheldon?" I'm like, "No, I didn't pick this week. We had a hurricane."
I did.
Yep, she didn't know that.
Well,
she will now.
Yeah. Sorry. I didn't pick them this weekend. If that's consolation. Well,
I
they're hitting
didn't
the
either.
they're getting their kicks at Route 66 Speedway. What are your notes on this one? And we'll give our picks for the World of Outlaws, and that'll pretty much do it for this episode.
So this is the whole racing complex. They got the NASCAR track, the drag racing, and the 3/8 third oval. It's what it's a nice dirt racing facility. It's always puts on a good show there. It's probably, and I'm hoping it gets slick because the racing's just better when it slicks out, the track widens out, then you got the multiple grooves. So and like I say every week, lap traffic is key. And these guys, like Darren Pittman, sort of a part-time racer, maybe a little gun shy from the week before, flipping at Williams Grove and didn't put the car in, so the Outlaw guys aren't going to do that. They're going to, if you're getting lapped, you're going to get bulldozed over most likely. So if you're in the way, you're going to get moved.
It looks like a wider track. It looked like a wide track, kind of like a Eldora wide turns at least.
Yeah, it's no real straightaway. You're sort of turning the whole time, which actually usually makes the cars are winged down the whole way around the track. It's not like comparison to Williams Grove where you got the real long straightaways and the cars actually straighten out going down the straightaways. These are sort of turning the whole way around.
Yeah, I think it'll make for some pretty good racing as we close into the World Finals for the Outlaws and closing in on another. And I would say this is probably one of their most successful seasons. It's been very, very good. A lot of cars coming on strong late in the year. So
the racing in general has been pretty good.
It has been. There's been few that have been like, oh, that was a snoozer. But for the most part,
sometimes it happens. But
for the most part,
it hasn't been just anybody on the front row every race. So.
Yeah, that in all the sprint car action, high limit. You've seen Corey Days start 20th and win multiple times.
Yeah.
And, same with Larson's done it early on in the year. World of Outlaws, it's happened. Sheldon's come up through the field and crashed if we picked him. And the Toyotas, that's been probably the most impressive thing to see how quick they've come on this year, this late in the year. So, all right, night 1, night 2, let's give our picks. Go ahead with Route 66.
So Friday night, you just mentioned it, got a Toyota. I got Buddy Kofoid Friday night. And Saturday, maybe the hottest Outlaw driver right now, Carson Macedo.
All right. Well, we don't have the same picks. So my night one, I have the championship front runner, likely the champion for this year. I do have David Gravel. And night 2, I have that Toyota driver. I have Buddy Kofoid, and he's been up front pretty much every race these last 10 so races. So I expect him to be in contention. This is a bigger track. The bigger tracks, especially the second night, the Toyotas, at least wider tracks, the Toyotas have come on strong. I think you'll see him be able to run really high, almost banging off the wall. And I don't know how much power they make compared to the other ones, but they seemingly have something hooked up right now.
One shout out would be to David Gravel's crew. He flipped at Lincoln.
Yep.
I don't know how many laps we're in. They bring that sucker back to the pits. They rebuild that sumbitch in about 5 minutes. Get back out there, and then I look up, and all of a sudden he's back in the top 10.
Now, yeah, I'm not even.
I mean, that is championship caliber.
Yeah, well, they can't. There's not enough bad luck that happens to him I don't think he's had a DNF this year, because of that, because they can do all that.
They've done that several times this year. That's just
And then who was it? Was it Sheldon's crew or Tyler Courtney's crew did it at Knoxville, or somebody did it? They replaced the whole gears. Yeah. It was the gears. I can't remember who it was, but they changed the whole gears out within 2 minutes. I'm like, how? Those were hot. They didn't even have gloves on. They were like, oh, screw it, nah. Like,
yeah, they shredded the gears. I'm like, there's no way that thing's ever going to run again. The gears just don't break. Yeah, it broke.
Yeah, no problem.
They did it out on the track on a red flag. That's crazy.
Yeah. All right, well, I think it does it for this week. Make sure you guys comment, like, follow, subscribe. Anywhere you get this, make sure share it if you're watching this on X. Share it if you're watching on YouTube. We're going to start doing this from now on. I like it. Makes it easier to edit, too, so that's one less thing I have to worry about. But going live, I like where we could chat with people, so if you get the word out, you can join in the chat. Even if you're on X, it'll join the chat on here, so I can actually check that out. So comment when you're watching it, and give us your picks for who you think are going to make the championship four and NASCARs. I think it's about to get exciting here, and hopefully we didn't jinx too many people this week. So follow on all social media platforms as well. So we'll see you guys next week.